decide to take that resource away from them. Unconscionable? Which one? So we belong to a consortium of libraries across the state, and we're a small library, so we cannot house every book, but within the state of the Pennsylvania, we're able to borrow books from any college, public, other high school libraries, elementary libraries. We do a lot of that for the life skills students. I don't think you're aware that we actually have a section in our library for the life skills students that was not there before. We try to meet the needs in the library of every student in the high school. And even in the elementary school, because Mrs. Rochelle has students who are reading above grade level, and we send books down to them so that they can use them as well. It's unconscionable to think that those services will not be available for our students, given the fact that we already are not offering them as many things as the students of the school districts that we are competing against. I think that the decision to close the library without having asked any of those questions, without being disrespectful, is short-sighted. And I think that's it. Do you have any questions? No? Thank you.
Next. And while you're coming up, I'll just note that we're not closing the library. We're voting to eliminate the position.
I'm not going to debate it, but you are essentially closing the library because the librarian is not there. And as I said before, I'm not advocating for my job. I'm advocating for our students. If the library is not there to help them with their research, you are closing the library. The space will still be open, but you're closing the library.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Jessica Vogliano. I am a sophomore here at Carlynton High School. I am the president of my sophomore class, the former historian of the National Junior Honor Society, and currently a member of the National Honor Society. We did talk about how you are not making any changes to the GATE program, but I'm here to talk about the teacher, Mrs. Etty. I'm also a student in the Gifted and Talented Education program at the high school run by Mrs. Etty. I would like to take some time and talk with you all about the many achievements that Mrs. Etty has helped me and other students during her years at the high school as our GATE teacher. Over the last several years, she has helped me with my future and the career I intend to pursue, as well as my schedule for the upcoming school years. She has scheduled a multitude of seminars at our school and as well as AIU for not only the students of GATE, but open to the entire school and any student interested. I've attended several of the seminars she has planned, and they have helped me and taught me so much. She even had a gentleman from PNC Bank come in and talk with me and another student about business, which helped me as well as on my way helped me on my way for my path of success in the future. During the scheduling process, I was having difficulties with my school schedule for the upcoming school year, and Mrs. Etty assisted me tremendously. She set up times with teachers in the school for herself and for her and myself to meet with, so we could plan out my schedule. This helped me greatly because I needed to be guided in the right direction for college, and I will now know what classes to take to pursue my career. In this 2015-2016 school year, Mrs. Etty has really made a big change to the GATE program. She took away having to create a GATE project, which took too much time with all of our busy scholar and AP classes, and decided to take the career route. She did not only focus on GATE students and helping us with our careers, she helped with the entire school. Her and Montana Trombetta spoke in every high school English class about our careers. She went through every paper that the students filled out with the help of Montana and planned seminars based on the careers that interested the students at the high school. Personally, to me, I think figuring out what you want to do with your life in high school is a necessity. Mrs. Etty really did an amazing job changing around the program and helping the students with our careers. was younger, I wanted to be a billionaire, but didn't we all? I have never actually knew the responsibilities I had to go through my life to achieve greatness. With the help of Mrs. Eddy, I now know for sure I want to be a lawyer, and I know the steps and responsibilities that I have to take to get there. On a more personal level, Mrs. Eddy has been a teacher who I have put all of my trust in, and I know I can talk to her about absolutely anything. She has helped me when I was going through difficult times. If I was having a bad day, I knew I was always welcome to walk in her room at any time of the day, and she would drop what she was doing and give me her undivided attention to talk and just listen. Not only has she helped me through bad days, but she has also taught me life lessons that I will carry on forever and motivated me to get through the hard times. Sometimes, when I just wanted to be alone, I would go up to her room during lunch or study hall and speak with her about any school-related issues. I would actually be devastated to see Mrs. Eddy leave as our gate teacher. To conclude, I hope my words have made an impact on your decision, and I would be pleased to speak with any of you about my experience in gate with my teacher, Mrs. Eddy. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the school board, for your time and attention.
Yes, ma'am.
And actually, I'm here on behalf of my son. He was at Boy Scouts tonight and couldn't make it. He wrote a letter. I'm asking you not to remove Mrs. Eddy as a gate teacher. She has been such an important person in the gate community over the past 3 years. She has arranged many fun and educational field trips to help better children and their minds. The field trips cover a wide variety of topics, jobs, which allow kids to get a taste of things and choose a specialty they would like to focus on. These field trips are also a way for kids to build teamwork skills, trust, and many other important qualities. The field trips also allow the kids to make friends from other schools and engage with other gifted kids in friendly, academically challenging competitions and activities. Back at the elementary school, she uses gate time as time to enhance kids' minds in math, English, and geography, and problem solving in fun and creative ways. They range from playing games all the way up to performing experiments and building. These are important skills that will help these children later in life. The class time also allows the kids to receive more tailored, in-depth learning on these important subjects. Up at the high school, she started the Gate homeroom. This allows those in Gate more time to go over upcoming events and ask Mrs. Eddy questions. The Gate homeroom allows for an easy way to relay messages to other Gate students. There used to be 2 Gate teachers, but Mrs. Eddy has stepped up and filled both roles. She has a lot on her plate. Not only is she in charge of Gate, she also helps out with Junior Honor Society and so much more. But despite all the work she does, she still comes in every day with a smile and a cheery attitude. For the past few years as a Gate teacher, she has helped and touched the hearts of many students. No one else is fit to perform her job. No one else could match her charisma or level of compassion. No one else could do so much and still take the time to individually get to know each of their students. No one else could do what Mrs. Eddy has done. I also have an address about the library. Have you ever seen a school that didn't have a library? Ever? Even colleges? You're saying it's going to be open, but if there's no teacher, are the kids going to be able to, after they're finished with their lunch, run to the library to do something? If there's no actual librarian, are the kids going to be able to get into the library, or is there going to need to be a teacher present? Do you have an answer for that?
You have to have a teacher present for the students. The teachers will be able to use the library as a research group. Again, go up for lunch and nobody was in there, students will be able to go in there, correct?
Right, and so if that's the only time the student has to get caught up on something, they wouldn't be able to get in. So essentially, if there is no library, it's now a teacher's room. You can't have a school without a library.
Since so many people have commented on Mrs. Eddy's excellence, I'll jump in and add that my kids have commented too on her excellence. Thank you, Mrs. Eddy. To be clear, we're not making any changes to the GATE program. We're not closing the GATE program. We're not making any changes at all.
But it's
just
not
as
the program, we're talking about the teacher
just-
in that program.
Just as when Mr. Nagorski retires, unfortunately this spring, as he leaves, there's a shuffling of teachers that might happen due to the union contract and how they bid on different jobs. The school board and the superintendent have no control over that. We have no way to address that. So if there's any shuffling of teachers, we have no insight or part.
Who does?
It's a contractual issue with the union. So just, we're not making any change. We recognize the value of the A program, we recognize the value of Mrs. Ed, she's fantastic. We have no control over who's in which slot.
Well, you know, part of the PowerPoint presentation was you want to do what's best for the child. And what's best for my child is to have someone who knows her, who knows that program. I'm sure you understand that.
And to have someone who has certifications and the knowledge of teaching gifted individuals, and not just put a teacher who may be a very excellent teacher, but has not been the best person for teaching those kids.
Correct, but again, we have no control over which teacher goes into which slot.
Is there some other way that we can make our feelings known? Is there someone else we can appeal to with that concern?
I don't know.
I think things that I can say from working with the union, that they have the needs of your children at heart, and we always want a highly qualified teacher in any of our positions. And we had a very tough time when Mary Beth Berry left, and people thought she was irreplaceable. If it does happen that Mrs. Eddy would no longer be engaged, we would put somebody highly qualified in there. But transitions are going to happen. As teachers retire, as Jim Dvorsky retires, we always seek for a highly qualified, dedicated person. I think the biggest thing we look for is not only a talented individual, but somebody who has passion for students and passion for the community. But it'd be really premature to comment on what would happen after that. So at this point, gifted position isn't one of the positions that we discussed, other than the items here. So I understand people's concerns of what may happen, what might happen, but I think for the purposes of the meeting, we really need to look at the items under personnel, because everything else at this point is speculation.
Not seeing any of, oh, I spoke too soon. Again, if we can try to keep it succinct as possible. State your name, please.
Yes, my name is Rachel Engel. I'm the mother of two children in the district. I have two sons, one in second grade and the other currently in kindergarten. It'll be many years before they make it up to the high school, but I find it absolutely crazy ridiculous that you're even considering eliminating the library position. Like others have stated, I don't understand how you can have a library without a librarian, at least not a situation which is credible. I myself am an educator at one of the largest high schools in Pittsburgh Public Schools. The library is a hustle and bustle of place, many things happening, teachers coming in, we use our library constantly. I do a lot of theater, and I can't imagine the school telling me that we were going to have a musical in our auditorium with no director. That would be absolutely unimaginable. It would be absolute chaos. The space would go into ill repair. Things would not be taken care of. Maybe things that you don't necessarily consider at this point because you're not very aware, because maybe the librarian does it and you just don't know, because he or she seamlessly takes care of those items. I can't imagine my students as a teacher. I often get kids that try to copy and paste things, and I quite often catch it. They need to learn how to research properly without using Wiki as their source. And I think that some of those things would start to become more common that you would find within the students. Many of those things would continue to happen. So I implore you to consider another way to not eliminate that library position. My kids aren't there yet, but they will be there, and I expect that position to be there for them when they make it to the high school level. As far as the other positions, there is always a ripple effect in education. You may not see the implications right away. It might be 5 years. Some things you'll see immediately, other things you won't see till later, and it is very difficult to undo, and it takes many years to undo, or now you have to rehire someone that you lost, and it will take you many years to get the results back again. And I see that constantly and consistently in education. I feel that there's a lot of things that happen where they switch from one thing to the one thing to the next thing to the next thing, looking for the thing that is going to work. If you already have something that is working very well for you right now, as so many people have stated, then we should continue with that. Many people spoke passionately about many of these teachers tonight. I also noticed the secretarial position. I see my secretaries struggle at the high school level because we've been cut positions. And now these teachers or secretaries are being asked to do more and more on less and less time. So there is, once again, a ripple effect that not only am I asked as a teacher to do more, because now the secretaries can't help me or do it for me, so that means I have less time to build my lesson plans, less time that I spend with my kids, and more clerical duties that I'm now doing as a teacher. So once again, you don't see the ripple effect right away, but you will eventually see those ripple effects. So like many people have said, I ask that we consider some other way within the budget to find different ways. What else can we cut? What can we do as a community? Maybe it's time to ask us as a community, what can we do to make it so that these positions don't go away? And by the evidence of the people in the room, I think there are many of us that are willing to step up and do something so these positions don't disappear. Give us that opportunity.
Okay.
Just in the last couple of years, our enrollment has either stagnated or declined. Whereas when I came on in 2012, we had about 42.3. We're down to around 13.7s, 13.60s now. That's K-12.
And the law states a substantial decline in enrollment.
That's correct.
Are we qualifying that as a substantial?
I'm qualifying. The others could be aligning with staff for capital.
If you look at a 10-year past data and 10-year projection, so we deserve that data. We deserve to see that.
Copy of the pictures that we received included provision in the phone school code regarding the substantial decline and has been removed. There are other in-school codes.
Are there any other comments on the agenda? But thank you all for your, oh, yes, we have. You can identify yourself, please.
Emily Palladino. I have a second grader at Carlynton Elementary and supervision for another elementary. I came here tonight sort of to vote mainly just, I don't have any prepared comments. I just wanted to state that I thought that his presence is just a picture of Carlynton Elementary. Very positive, no role model, just what limited interaction I've had, all very positive. But I'm sitting here in the audience, I'm actually Rachel, just summed up some of my thoughts on the high school library situation, but I'm sitting here as a college librarian, just wanting to add a little bit of perspective. Again, not to prepare anything, but she had some really great information for you all, but I will just want to back that up by saying you can see at the college level a major difference between the students that have had a quality library versus those that had not much of a library or no library at all at the high school level. And the idea of just having new room, resource room, no budget, no library, no plan, it would be months, not even years, before that would be a resource room that would be completely useless, really. And the librarian is the person that has the plan for really connecting students with resources and delivering this job. Sorry for the little bit of repetition and not prepared comments, but it was just hugely evident for the freshmen when it comes to the library, when they have no basis for library research, or when they've gone to a really well-funded library. And those students are a huge disadvantage that don't have that, and they're playing catch up all year, really trying to figure it out on their own and coming to us and really reacting to tutors or students that should have heard a lot of these skills in high school or prior to that.
I was about to say we're going to move on to the main meeting. Are they agenda items you'd like to speak on?
I just have a quick comment. So everyone's talking about all the positions, and I just want to make sure that you guys have seriously considered our test scores. So our test scores in the district are, in my eyes, less than stellar. And what the consequences are going to be if you remove the support, the basic core support positions, what does that look like 2 years and 5 years down the road? We might be in that 15% where we're giving out vouchers. If our test scores drop any lower, which is a possibility, you have to keep those core pieces, the RTI, you have to keep those in place to support the students if they're going to pass this standardized testing. It's a consideration that you guys should really take a look at.
I have a daughter in 11th grade, and I know that she just loves the library. She could spend all day there if her schedule will allow her to. And I know she really speaks highly of Visani. Visani actually set up a special event for Stephanie to be an author. This was a few months ago, to be an author in the school library, and Stephanie was really excited about it, got so excited. And Ms. Bonnie is sometimes recommending books for Stephanie to read because she knows the type of books and subjects that she's interested in. And I know that she couldn't get that just from periodically visiting the library. And she likes to go in there during study halls and lunch periods if she can, because she just loves the environment and, being around the library setting. And I know she's not Jake, but she's in Honor Society, and she really does think highly of Miss Eddie as well. So just wanted to add that on her behalf. Thank you.
I see more hands. Alex? Clarify yourself before.
Good evening. My name is Alexander Kopacek. I'm a 2015 graduate of the Carlynton Junior Senior High School. I've been here forever, and if you don't know me already, it's probably because I voted you once before. So I wasn't originally planning on speaking tonight. In fact, I wasn't even planning on coming here, and I had seen that there was some sort of crazy agenda. I looked at the agenda. Long story short, I'm here because I'm concerned about the resources of this district. I mean, okay, I get it. We're a small school. I graduated in a class of 92 people. I understand that we don't have the resources to do a ridiculous amount of things. But what I'm concerned about are the resources of the district as is. What we have is what I think a really good school district. And again, I'm not overly prepared on this, sorry. But I feel that the teachers and people who work for this district are a huge resource in and of themselves. And I understand that you're saying that moving forward, resources will change a bit and transitions will be made. And I respect that. But my concern is when you have a district who's already pretty stretched thin as far as resources are concerned. I mean, I'm a journalism major and I never once took a journalism class because, well, that class couldn't be offered then and that kind of thing. My concern is when you go ahead and but you're also eliminating people who are resources to students, living, breathing resources. I understand having a resource room as the library, but there is something to be said to have someone manning a library, someone manning a program. I just ask that you guys, and I pray, you have some sort of alternative plan that allows the resources of the Carlynton School District to continue to be resources and to continue to be available to students. Because that's my concern moving forward. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Identify yourself.
I have one student in the upper school and one in grade school. And I am a librarian by training. I am not a public speaker, so I apologize. I actually came here to speak on behalf of Mrs. Eddie, but I think everyone has done a very good job of that. And I really did not realize the librarian position was not a shocking one. And that is offensive to me professionally. It's offensive to me on behalf of the students. School librarians are very special people. I would never in 80 years apply for school librarian job. Their job is to interest students in learning, of how to conquer learning, how to look for information. I teach the field of public, I'm a county now, and I worked there for years, over decades. You don't believe how many adults do not know how to find information. They don't know how to ask a question to get the information they need. That is what a librarian does. School librarians have special training, they have a special mindset, and you cannot replace that with formal education. Our teachers are fabulous, but they're not trained to teach people to use information. They are trained on a subject and how to use that specific area. Librarians are much broader. You want a librarian, you say, I need books. I need books, it's blue. Librarians will pull out, what do you need to do with that book? What's your purpose? You know, what level? They're going to help kids who have only ever read Harry Potter figure out what else might interest them. My daughter reads an average of 6 books a week. She has blown out the Carnegie Elementary Library. She's blown out the Carnegie Town Library. But the librarians in all of these places, and we talk to the high school librarians too, they have always managed to find for things to do. My son is a total opposite. They managed to help him even though the things that he's enjoying it. So I really consider the random benefits of being very popular. Thank you.
Mrs. Rob, did I see your hand up?
You did, Jim.
Formally, can you identify yourself, please?
My name is Michelle Ross. I have 4 children in the district ranging from 10th grade to 3rd grade. And I did not come with anything prepared. I apologize for that. I really came to absorb information. But my heart was pittering back there saying I needed to speak. Mainly, the people that you have here today show that there is such a desire and they want to help and they want to do something. This past year has been a pivotal year in that we had no budget and there were things arrived there. I know as a parent, there were multiple of us that stepped up, whether it was transporting kids instead of getting a bus to pay for transportation, having us do the transportation. I know there are many people that are willing to think outside the box and come up with other plans. I am not a teacher by trade. 2 of my children needed the reading support. One did not qualify, but if the teacher noticed that she was lagging a little bit, if it wasn't for the teacher, it would not have been noticed that her eyes didn't work together. She passed every vision test because they do left eye, right eye. And she can see fine, but when they go together, her right eye would read line 2 and her left eye would read line 4. The only person that realized this was the reading support teacher. If it wasn't for her, it would not have been noticed. I have another child who also needed reading support. He excelled with it, and now, and he math is his thing, he is great with math. He needed a little extra help, and there again, I am not the educator in our household. I do homework with them, and I work religiously with them, as many teachers can attest, but I am not an educator. And if it wasn't for the reading support, I don't know where he would be right now. And now he doesn't need reading support anymore. He phased out of the program, which I'm fortunate for. But if it wasn't for those reading support people, I don't know where the two children of mine that needed it would be, especially my daughter with vision problems. So I just want us to think outside the box, whether it's asking the people, and I know there are contractual issues, but asking us what we can do to help get that budget down some. I know there are people that would be willing to step up. So, therefore, my heart's done pattering, and I thank you all for your service and your time. I didn't need it. Thank you.
If nothing else, one thing I take away from all the comments was we have a fantastic staff that is dedicated to making our kids successful. So, if I may move on to the rest of our agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2016 voting meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Move, do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I'll report that we had an executive session prior to this meeting where we discussed personnel issues. I now turn to Dr. Pfeiffer for administrative reports. Thank you.
I really have nothing additional to say for this particular meeting from the PowerPoint. I do respect everybody's passion and dedication to this district, to our students, and to our programs. And the board and I are very proud of the job you do and the work you do with kids. And any decision to realign programs is truly to try to work more effectively, to try to provide services to kids. But that would conclude my administrative report.
Turning to our miscellaneous section, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agreement between the district and Robert Morris University for a dual enrollment curriculum for advanced placement chemistry students to earn college credit. Thank you. Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section number 2, personnel, we have a slightly different motion than might have been printed on an earlier agenda version. Element number 2 is struck from that original motion. So the correct motion is as follows. Whereas as a result of substantial decline in class or course enrollments and/or to conform with standards of organizational or educational activities required by law or recommended by the Department of Education, and upon recommendation of the superintendent and concurred by the Board of School Directors of the Carlynton School District, and whereas in accordance with the requirements of section 1124 of the PA Public School Code of 1949 as amended, the following positions shall be abolished beginning the 2016-2017 school year. 1. Elementary keyboarding position. 2. Response to intervention and instruction positions. 1. High school librarian position. The board hereby directs the administration to conduct an analysis of the staffing needs based on the above action and to recommend any further promotions that might be necessary. The superintendent is further directed to provide the appropriate notification to the Department of Education. That's number 1. Number 2, the following resolution, whereas the board wishes to provide for a more efficient and cost-effective program, now therefore the following positions shall be abolished beginning the 2016-2017 school year. 1. High school secretarial position. The board hereby directs the administration to conduct an analysis of the staffing needs based upon the above action and to recommend any promotions or furloughs that may be necessary. Vote on those 2 items. Do I have a motion for those 2 items? Moved. Do I have a second? Moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Jim, should we do this? If you would like to, we can do that. roll call vote, please. Aye. For the first one, so George, we're voting for all of them, so if you need to.
No, I think we should.
We'll modify the.
The whereas situation is fine. For each of these positions, I think we should vote separately, because I don't support
So to the board secretary, we're going to do a roll call vote for each individual. So a roll call vote, please, on the elementary keyboarding position. Aye. So, thank you. That portion of the motion passes. The second piece would be the two response to intervention and instruction positions. We have a roll call vote, please, on that. Aye. Aye. So that portion of the motion passes. The third portion is the high school librarian position. We have a roll call vote, please. Aye.
nay.
Aye. And that portion of so for items number 3 and 4, I will entertain a motion to approve the following two items. Number 3. I apologize, I back up. Since we did a roll call vote on the first individual items in number 1, we're going to have to do it for item number 2 as well. So, Board Secretary, if you wouldn't mind, please having a roll call vote on item number 2, the high school secretarial.
Yes. Sorry, aye.
Director Hart. Director Hart. Director Mendoza. Director O'Brien. Director Shaw. Director Zalewski. Director Schreiber.
Aye. Motion passes. Sections 1 and 2 of the motion passes. Now moving on to sections, items 3 and 4, I'll entertain a motion to approve 2 items. Number 3, the recommended individuals for the positions of summer custodial helpers as submitted. And number 4, proposed for an opening of a Title I reading teacher position at Carnegie Elementary School.
So moved.
Moved, do I have a second? Second. Moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, under old business, is any director, any old business they'd like to discuss? new business. Is there any director with any new business they would like to discuss? Under the open forum session, are there any other comments from the audience on open forum items? Does not have to be on the agenda.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is from Carnegie. And I know wasn't something that was on the agenda, it was kind of a tough meeting today, but I do want to say that this is a very caring district. I know the people up here are very caring. I know the teachers here are very dedicated teachers. We have some teachers that are just outstanding. And to go with that today, we had in Carnegie 10 buses on World War II and Korean veterans that stopped in Carnegie for lunch today. And many of them in wheelchairs, some of them well over the age of 90. We had a couple that were 100. And it was just an amazing thing. And I can't thank Carnegie Elementary, the teachers, and Principal Hudson more. And I was never more proud of this community than when they brought all those kids down here. And I can tell you some of the comments from these veterans were they never had a welcome like that, even coming back from war. Yes. One occasion, they told me that they teared up and they were actually crying when they saw all those students standing there. So it was just an unbelievable day in Carnegie, and I can't thank Carnegie Elementary and the teachers and the staff, and Principal Hudson, or more for I can't thank them enough. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Any other items from the public? Again, I'll reiterate something I said earlier, and I'll tie on to something that Mrs. Roth said. Fantastic district, passionate residents, students, teachers, staff, etc. And a couple of people use the phrase out of the box. So we are a small district. That is the magic that makes us special and what's made all these relationships with each other so incredible. So let's come together, and as we find ourselves shifting and maybe some positions are shifting, let's be creative, let's think out of the box and find ways to make sure that the student experience remains the same or gets better. Yes?
Tracy Coast, high school social studies, but I'm here as a taxpayer and a mother of one of our students. And as you were just saying, let's come together. So I am seeking a way that we as stakeholders are going to be included in the process of how we're going to do that and how we're going to move forward. Our motto is community, character, and excellence. And I'm frustrated because I'm struggling to see with some of these positions that last portion, that excellence, how are we going to support those kids that are in need? And as a person who pushes my students very rigorously, and we use the library, and the sign's been an amazing resource. I'm not sure where that's gonna lead us. So I just want to put that comment out there because, I'm not trained in library science, so I'm not sure on several ways of organization in the library. So how am I supposed to lead my kids in the way that a librarian would be? So that's a concern from the teacher portion. The parent portion, there's something that I noticed. There was a comment, there was a posting at a property that we are nearby in Crafton that is being purchased, I think, for a parking lot and a green space. I just want to make sure that you understand, as a former president and vice president of Crafton Council, we are Tree City, USA. We have amazing green space, so I'm wondering if that's the best utilization for our finances, considering we are so stretched with our resources. So I just wanted to put that up here and express my concern on many levels that I service. Thank you.
Any other comments for the floor? Seeing none, does any director have any comments for the floor? None? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. So moved. I have a second? Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is adjourned.